This is lesson 5 in descriptive statistics, and it's on box and whisker plots. This is a type of graph that is great for examining one or more sets of data. So you can compare sets of data with by having a double box and whisker plot. And the graph is drawn using 5 points calculated from the data. So let's take a look at this graph here, this box and whisker plot. Notice that the box is the middle part, and here's where, oops, let me just change colors a second. Here's where those 5 sets of data are from. It's those 5 points along the number line that the graph is drawn from. The box contains the middle 50% of the data. And then the whiskers show the extremes. So a long whisker would show that the extreme, the highest value, for instance, if a whisker was really long on the right side, it would show that the highest value is way higher than the middle 50% of the data. So those 5 points we can describe below here. So we have a minimum value, so the lowest number, a maximum value, the highest number, the median, which we've already talked about in our previous lesson, being the middle number, and then these 2 new values, the lower quartile, which is also called Q1, and it's the median of all the numbers less than the median of the entire set. So it's the median of the lowest half. It's also sometimes called the 25th percentile since it's greater than or equal to 25% of the data. And then the other new term is the upper quartile, or Q3, and it's the median of all the numbers greater than the median of the entire set. It's also called the 75th percentile since it's greater than or equal to 75% of the data. So in order from lowest to highest, let's put these values here and look at the graph here and just fill in those values. So the lowest value is our minimum. The next lowest value is our first quartile, then comes our median, and then comes our upper quartile, or Q3, and then comes our maximum value. So from low to high, those are the 5 numbers that make up a box and whisker plot. So in this case, by reading the graph, we can see that our minimum number was 17, our first quartile was 21, our median was at 26, the third quartile was at 30, and our maximum value was 36. All right, let's move on to an example of how is this. So we have 2 blood testing departments at different Nova Scotia hospitals, and they recorded their patient wait times in minutes. This data was used to construct the 2 box and whisker plots. So you can see here we're comparing 2 different box and whisker plots. The top one is from Department A, the bottom one is from Department B. So it says, how do the wait times compare at these 2 blood testing departments? So if we look at them, we can see that the minimum for Department B is lowest. So there's only a 5-minute wait time sometimes there. But we can see that their maximum is also the highest, that it has a 30-minute wait time. And that the middle 50% is, for the most part, higher than the middle 50% for Department A. We could say that Department A is more consistent because their values all range from 7 to 22 minutes, with half of the times being between 10 and 16 minutes. So there's ways to compare them, and thinking about where the extremes are, thinking about where the middle values are, and thinking about how much the data is spread out or how much it's clustered together or centered. Okay. These are the steps to making a box and whisker plot. So just like a number of the things we've done before, it's important to arrange the data from lowest to highest, and then we can pick our minimum and maximum values right away. So there's 2 of the 5 numbers that we need, and then we can find our median either by circling the middle number or taking the 2 middle numbers and adding together and dividing by 2. And then we find our Q1, or our lower quartile, and we find the median of the numbers below the median, not including the median. And we find the upper quartile by finding the median of the numbers above or greater than the median. Notice that for these two, we do not include the median when we're calculating those. And then we draw the box and whisker plot using those values. So the box goes around the middle three numbers with a line above the median, and then we draw a line out to the whiskers with just a little tick mark at the ends so that it's easy to read where the endpoints are. So now let's do an example. We want to construct a box and whisker plot for the following data. So the first step is to arrange it in order from low to high. So that gives us 4, 9, 11, 13, 18, 19, 21, 22, and 24. So we can say that our min is 4 and our max is 24. There's the first two easiest ones. Then let's look at our median. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sets of data. So the middle number is 18, so our median is 18. So we have 3 of the sets of data. So now let's look at our first quartile. So we're going to look at the numbers that are below the median, and we want the median of those. So in this case, we can see that 9 and 11 are the two middle numbers, so we're going to add them together. 9 plus 11 divided by 2, so our first quartile is 10. And I'm just going to write that here just for space. And our third quartile, we're going to look at the data greater than the median, and since it's 4 numbers, it's even, there's 2 middle numbers, 21 and 22, so we'll add those together, divide it by 2, and we get 21.5. So now we have our 5 numbers that we need to construct this. Now, please do, when you're creating your own box and whisker plots, please do use a ruler or a straight edge. Using this app that I'm creating this with, it's very hard for me to draw straight lines. There's not a nice tool for me to use to do that. So mine's going to be sketched in, but I really want you to use a straight edge when you do these. So I'm going to put a row of dots above the numbers, the 5 numbers. So there's the 4 for my minimum. Here's the 10 for my first quartile, and 18 for my median, 21.5 for my first quartile, and 24 for my max, okay? And actually it's nice to maybe do a little vertical line for each of these. And then the 3 middle numbers get enclosed in our box, and we draw our whiskers. And there's the box and whisker plot for that set of data. And again, it'll look much nicer if you grab a straight edge and do that. Let's do one more example. Here I have data again, and I'm going to create a box and whisker plot for it. So step 1 is put the data in order, low to high. So I've got 9, 10, 12, 14, 14, 16, 17, 21, 26, and 26. So my min is 9. My max is 26. My median, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sets of data, so that's an even number. So my median is going to be between the 14 and the 16 there, because I have 2 middle numbers. So 14 plus 16 divided by 2 gives me 15. And then let's do our quartiles. So our first quartile is the mean of everything lower than the median. So I'm going to include both of those 14s because the median is 15. So everything below 15 I'm going to include. And so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items there. So there is a middle one, which is 12. So the first quartile is 12. Then the third quartile is the median of everything above the mean. So everything above 15 is these 5 numbers to the right here, and the middle one is 21. So my third quartile is 21. So again, I'm going to go to my number line and place a mark above each of those numbers. So I've got my minimum at 9, my first quartile at 12, my median at 15, my third quartile at 21, and my max at 26. And I'll draw a box around the middle 3 numbers and my whiskers out to the 2 extremes. And that's the last of the examples for this lesson.